Hi, I'm here to tell you what your actual legal rights are pertaining to the law, as to probably the lies and manipulation you've been fed by social care. Number one, it is not what a mother does to provide personal care after the child reaches 18, and that's being generous. And if you are both consenting to a mother or another family member doing your personal care, then your mum or other family members should be getting paid for it. Otherwise, it's slave labour and a criminal act. Number two, according to the Dignity in Care Law, you have the right to choose who provides your care, how it's provided, whether it's agency, PA, or other outside social services, and they do not have the right to tell you what you are and are not entitled to. Number three, they cannot leave you in a situation which would be classified as a breach of your human rights. In other words, they have to make sure you're clean, dry, fed, watered, and all your basic needs are being taken care of. However, this doesn't happen because social services use pads to stop them having to, and then send somebody in 4 times a day to change one's pad. And the reason they do that, Mum and I figured out, is because it's your human right to use the toilet. But for some reason, once you're not a child anymore, it is not your human right to have a pad changed. So that's how they get away with that law. And there's been case laws in European courts of appeals that's been taken right to the top, and social services has won a case saying it's not unreasonable to leave somebody in a pad all night soaking wet. But the reality is, if I left my dog in that situation, the RSPCA would get involved and I would lose my dog. It is against a person's human right and dignity to be left in a situation such as that, which then leaves family members emotionally blackmailed and manipulated to provide care because the social care systems are failing spectacularly to be generous, or deliberately coercively controlling and manipulating at the worst to save money, because they know that a family member is not going to want to see their loved one suffer. My mum was forced to provide my care for years, told it's what a mother does, manipulated into a situation where she felt that's what she had to do, otherwise I wasn't going to get any care. In fact, when I first moved in here, I was given 16 hours of care a week. And this was obviously over 7 days, so about 2 hours a day. And my mum had to do the rest. Otherwise, I would have been left without food, water, basic amenities. I used to be able, when I first moved in here, to use the toilet, but because of their lack of care, I am no longer able to, because I've had to go to pads because I didn't have somebody here when I need to take care of basic needs such as using the toilet. And I've also had to live off cold chips half the time, because the right to food apparently doesn't apply if you're disabled. In fact, an agency carer, who obviously shall remain nameless, told me that a client that he works for is only allowed 1 meal a day. And in fact, they told me it was unreasonable to expect 3 meals a day. Well, the law states that the care is to put you in a situation that you would be in as far as possible if you were not disabled. And all these things is harassment, discrimination, because to put a family member or anybody at an unfair disadvantage because they're associated with somebody with a disability is discrimination. So what they do to the family members is discrimination. And also to put the person themselves at an unfair disadvantage because they are disabled is discrimination. They get away with discriminating with impunity and nobody stands up to say it's wrong. In fact, I was told, because I have mental health issues as well, like agoraphobia, that I wasn't entitled to hours to go out because agoraphobia was my choice. Obviously, anybody with a brain or anybody that has any knowledge in mental health realises that that's not no more a choice than anybody would choose to be schizophrenic. So it's absolutely horrible that they would use it in manipulative, cruel and stupid. So basically that was used and apparently that was my choice. But apparently I'm too mentally unwell to understand that it's in my best interest to have my mum do my personal care. Now, they use what they need to use at the given time to manipulate a situation that they need to manipulate in order to save money. It's all a money-saving scam at the expense of disabled people. And in fact, I only got time to go out when I said it was a breach of animal rights for dogs not to get a walk every day. And so they gave me an hour to take the dog for a walk. So in fact, the social services treat disabled people as less than dogs and animals. And it's an absolute disgrace. I no longer really have a family to speak of because of the pressure they put on the family to be my carers. They've now just become my carers and it's caused resentment and probably irrevocable family breakdown. And a right to a private and family life is a human right. And if you're forced into a situation where you have to care for your loved one against your will, then they're breaching that human right as well. Especially in situations where it's putting pressure on the family, which inevitably it does, because caring for someone obviously isn't easy, but they don't really care about that. All they care about is their purse strings at the expense of the human. Basically, I was falsely imprisoned in my home, unable to access the outside world. False imprisonment pertains to being restricted in movement around a particular area, as in being stuck in a house or to a bed or to a couch or to one particular room. And that's what they put me through in order to save money, and they threatened me with a care home if I dared to ask for too much care. Made me feel like I wasn't entitled to it. But I'm telling anybody out there now in the same situation, you are entitled to it, and fight for it, because for as long as nobody's fighting for it and everyone's scared to say anything, they get away with what they do, the abuse that they perpetrate, and the manipulation, neglect and trauma that they cause both the family and the people living with the disability. Because I'm telling you now, my greatest disability isn't living in a wheelchair, which I am, it's dealing with the professionals. They're the ones that make me more disabled than my disability ever could, by not giving me the fundamental basic building blocks to lead a reasonable life. Thank you for listening, and please share.